and welcome back to the ministry. And today we are talking about the men today and the fact that a man's weakness can sometimes be his strength. We live in a society that teaches that men should be strong, should be powerful, that should be, especially in the latter days of time, not so much today, that a man needs to be strong-willed, never show emotion, never show his softer side. Now, in today's society, with the things that we see happening in today's society, it seems like bromances and bro this and guy this and men that walk around dressed in clothing that signifies things that would make you question their sexuality. And then on top of it, when you try to make out a man to be more emotional, it comes off, you see certain words and terms being used as, I heard, this financial guy, he said, I hate using terms, and I don't want to be derogatory, because we live in a society now that you can't say these things and be looked at as what they are. But, and the fact that we're putting it on social media. Remember that. And because we're putting it on social media, the whole point might completely be missed if you say the wrong word or key phrase. So, the word I'm thinking of is, you know how women refer to each other as sis? And then that F word that they tend to use towards gay men. And then, of course, gay. Or shall I say, homosexual. In today's society, that is even a buzzword. But it's viewed upon that if a man is soft, it's something wrong with him. I literally was listening to somebody I admire, and she was making a point of saying that if a man is soft, that he deals with insecurities and could literally become an abuser. And I don't quite agree with that. It's the opposite that I've come to find, that if you find a man that does not become connected to his softer side, this is where you run into men that are more insecure. They also may deal with emotional instability. They may deal with rage. They may deal with behaviors and habits. There's a young woman named Dr. G. She's under the ministry Keys to the Kingdom. She did a beautiful word on parenting styles in the past 2 days. She did a 2-part word, and the name of this particular word is husband, wives, parents. You're going to be the greatest husband, wives, parents. And she does a breakdown on specific styles. One of which she talks about the breakdown of, a parenting style that is seemingly looked upon could be abusive. They are authoritative. Uh, when you have that high authority, you do what I tell you to do, so on and so forth. My way or the highway, I will throw your stuff out in the street type stuff if you do not do what I say, which breeds a person or a child that has emotions, because that's part of their makeup, to force themselves to be very I have to fit this parameter, and they become hard. This is a person that is dealing with, what did she call it? It's an anxiety. And what they do is they have a tendency to be more brash, more authoritative, very barky type of person, unconnected with their emotions, and insecure, all of this. I know somebody I'm thinking of right now that has that exact profile. But this is what happens when you do not connect with the security of your own emotions, because your parent was that authoritative. You can figure it out yourself. You can fend for yourself. You can take care of yourself. What you need me for? Why you asking me for any help? What in the world? Blah, blah, blah. So if you have a child that is naturally prone to, male or female, they're more emotional. They want love. They want caring. They want validation. What ends up happening is they can sometimes get caught up in the hero syndrome, where they have to be, I gotta be the most polished. I gotta be the savior of the situation. I gotta be the head of the household, especially if you run into a scenario where these men had to grow up in households where their fathers were not around or available. They had to become the hero. They had to become the man of the house. And you've seen parents, you've seen it in movies, that when they are the son and the firstborn son, they are the oldest. Every child that comes after that child, they have to be the authoritative person and authority in the house, so they can't really be as emotional as they want to be. And because they're the boy, the mother may baby them to a degree because that's their baby, or depending on what happened in the household. If there was a death, if there was a bad breakup. I literally was on the bus one time, lie to you not. It was over 5, almost 10 years ago. I was on the bus on the way home, and I saw this woman. She was on the phone with her son's father. The son sitting next to her. The father had said something to her, and she was so angry at the father because he wasn't picking the son up at the time in which he said he was, because he wasn't coming to get him. And the child is sitting next to her, and she gets off the phone with the father, and the child does something. I don't know what he did, but she's sitting on the end seat. The son's sitting in between them, and when the son says whatever he says, she turns and hauls off and hits this boy upside the head so hard. I was actually scared, because the way that she hit this child, he was sitting right next to the window. At the force in which she hit, if that child's head hit that window, if it did not crack the window, it might have cracked his skull. This is how hard she hit him. Why? She was mad at his father, not at him. So what ends up happening, even, any of y'all ever seen the movie, for all of us women that are in marriage season, hello, any of y'all seen the movie Jumping the Broom? You know the mother's character. The mother is played by Who's the mother? Ah, her name is escaping me. Loretta Devine plays the mother. And she and her son have been friends for all his life. And he's preparing to get married. He didn't tell the mother. The first inkling she ever getting about the situation is the fact that she's getting invited to the soon-to-be wife's house, mother's house, for the ceremony. So she's upset. But she does the entire movie, she trying to sabotage the whole wedding. Because why? That's her baby, and she wants control over him. She knows if he goes off and gets married, she no longer has control over him. He is no longer going to be that close to her. He's no longer going to be. Because that's her baby. He's sweet. He's kind. She loves him. And technically, he's her surrogate man. And at the end of the movie, he yells at her about that. He's like, I am not your man. You either are treating me like I'm your child, or I am your man. I'm not your man, and I'm no longer a child. And that's what happens in these relationships with mothers and children. So the young man can't be himself, and he ends up bottling up emotions, which usually ends up turning into bad habits as an adult. It doesn't mean that he does anything bad. Sometimes he has family members or other family members that he can confide into, that it allows him to process some of his information, some of his issues and problems. But depending on what kind of level that he was stunted, because he had to take over the assignment of becoming the man of the house, he had kind of ended up arrested in development. And these are the men that you kind of end up seeing. They never really seemingly grow up, and they always are somewhat dealing with emotional issues. But at the same time, they've been looking for the love of their mother for years. They've been looking for love. They've been looking for caring. They've been looking for all of this. And what ends up happening, if you recall me saying in a previous video, I was talking about when you're not getting the love that you desire or need at home, as you're growing up, the areas in which you felt most threatened, survival, you slip into survival mode. And because you're in survival mode, and especially for a man who is trying to take care of the household, or maybe he's trying to meet his mother's expectation, because boys are treated and told they have to be the man of the house, they have to grow up to be young men, but they aren't given the freedom as well as women are to have the emotions. They end up bottling up their emotions. So because of survival mode, you either may end up with the boy that's going to be emotional, but he's not going to show it. So he's dealing with the emotions, but he has them pent up inside. And this forms into an aggression externally, because they feel like anytime they get close to the point in which they could tap into those emotions, they instead show aggression, they show anger, they lash out. It's kind of like that child, that child at school that's the bully, that he actually likes the girl, but instead of actually going and say, I like you, he starts torturing her. Same thing. Instead of saying that he has emotions, instead of expressing how he feels, he starts to lash out. Then you have the other one, which is the person that doesn't. This is a person that usually becomes introverted. They usually end up going off to themselves. They work on their own projects. They do what have you. And then they end up growing up to have this hero complex. I must be the hero in the family. I must be the perfect one. Dress immaculate, be immaculate. They are 100% immaculate. They have this veneer on their external that it's nothing wrong with them, but internally they are emotionally broken. And anytime they get a chance that gets close to their emotions, you see them nearly at a point where they want to cry. I'm having a moment right now because I'm seeing two individual people, and the Lord is showing me that's exactly what they're both going through. I'm like, Jesus, be offensive. And what it is the men are not really dealing with their emotions because they're taught not to. And then they end up sometimes becoming deflective. So you have that the man that ends up growing up, and he becomes the jokester, because in order to deflect away from his emotion, he becomes the one that makes all the jokes. Ha ha, he, everybody laugh at this, because he breaks the ice all the time. But nobody's actually taking the time to get to know what's wrong with him. And these are the ones which, sadly to say, that because nobody cares enough to deal with their emotions, this is the one where you end up finding out, God forbid it to anybody that I know, to a point where they want to commit suicide because of the fact that nobody is listening to them. They have to bottle up everything and use comical fodder or what have you as a way to get out or blow off some steam. They break the ice for everybody else, but nobody's dealing with them. Nobody's talking to them. Nobody's caring about them. Nobody cares about what they actually are desiring. And these people, sadly, because they are the hero, they are the one that are the provider, they are the one that loves, they are the one that cares, they usually fall for the person that is Miss Independent because they want a strong and powerful woman. Because part of them have a tendency to be like, I want somebody that's going to be stronger in my area of weakness. But when they pick the person that's stronger in their area of weakness, this person is a vacuum. They drain them for everything that they have. They drain their money. They drain their time, their energy. They pretty much vapid to them. And it's very sad. Very sad. Because this is a very kind, sweet-hearted person. And it take everything from them. Because this is a person that is a taker, and they use a giver. And this type of person tends to be a narcissistic personality that will pull on them. It's two different types of personality types, and it was discussed in this young woman's video. I'm gonna see if I can link it after I post this, where she is talking about the person that has this giving, caring complex about them, where they want to be accepted and they're overachieving. 9 times out of 10 falls for the person that is anxious. The anxious, she calls it anxious something. I forgot what the other word was. And this person is the insecure one. So they fall for the insecure person that is draining everything out of them. And they just want to be loved and cared for, so they love and care to the extreme, and then the other person wants to take advantage. 9 times out of 10, they're usually targeted because people want to take advantage of them. And it's very, 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 very sad. And all they really want is somebody to love them. What is wrong with people? Oh my God. This usually happens with women and men. But we're talking about the men right now. That these men They end up falling in love with the wrong women. I used to always, and I've said it before, how is it that good men fall in love with wrong women? This complex, whatever it is that is this anxious complex falls in love with this overachiever, or the overachiever falls in love with this anxious person, and they just be draining each other. When there's a good woman that is the type that matches this man's personality, that wants nothing more than to be that for them, but they don't see it. They ain't awake. They have not figured it out. Which brings me back to the article. These men, there's nothing wrong with these men. The issue that is wrong with these men is the fact that they haven't found the right person that's going to help them balance these things out. Now, do you run into scenarios where this kind of man that is extra sensitive ends up in a homosexual relationship? It happens. It happens. Because they're searching for that father figure that they had to pretend to be the entire time that they were growing up. And they end up in a relationship with another man that kind of treats them as if they were their father figure. So they end up being the feminine person, and that person becomes the masculine. I had to mention it, but we ain't gonna stay there. But you also end up, this also can happen with females, where the woman didn't get the love of the mother, and they had to be the strong, independent female. So they end up in a homosexual relationship with a butch type female that has a very manly quality about them. And in order for them to have their feminine side be released, it happens in this type of relationship. Now, sometimes if the person is old, if you end up in a scenario where you have the female that is more feminine, she ends up with the butch, or she ends up being the butch. You either have the butch character because they're overly independent, they have this strong suited up man character, and that's what they become, and then they end up dating a female that's very feminine. Or in today's society, you might end up, that woman might end up dating a man that is either transgender or dressed in drag. We have to talk about it. Because these men, it's happening, our society is doing these things. This is why Jesus is coming back soon. But with that being said, this was not where all this was meant to be going, but when you have that, there are still good men out there. They just may be in the wrong relationship. Let's just be honest. They're sweet, they're kind, but some women either don't want to be with them. I remember I was on Instagram looking at a video of a comedian who was making fun of a post that somebody had posted talking about how they had, prior to Will Smith getting married to Jada Pinkett, been interested in Will Smith, but they kind of were not interested because he was too nice. The nice guy, you always hear the saying, nice guy finishes last. There are some women that are so enamored with the stereotypical strong man, gotta be brute, gotta be what have you, gotta be gangster, gotta be what have you, that these nice guys get walked right past each and every time. Oh, he too nice. Oh, he too nice. Oh, he too nice. Oh, is he connected with his emotions? Ooh, what you mean? What is wrong with a man being connected to his emotions? Just because you don't like a man that's connected to his emotions doesn't mean somebody else doesn't. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with them. It just means that somebody hasn't been nurturing their emotions their whole entire life. Because when you get a good man that finds a woman that's going to nurture his emotions, she don't need to baby him. She don't need to do anything like that with him. All she really needs to do is sit with him and talk to him like she got some sense, and listen to what he has to say. When he feels like he's being heard, when he feels like he's getting what he wasn't getting in previous relationships, when he feels like he's getting the encouragement, the love, the caring, and he can feel safe. Hello, Delilah. How did Samson end up with his head in Delilah's lap? He had to be the man all of the time, and he found Delilah, and even when she showed her behind, even when she showed up and literally said, yeah, could you tell me what your strength is, and used what he told her against him, he still told her what his weakness was. Men desire women to be there to listen to them, authentically be with them, and love on them the way in which they need. If they are emotional, guess what? If they're emotional, they're emotional. But they're caring. Some women are sitting around right now complaining about the fact that their man don't listen to nothing that they say. He ain't listening. He ain't blah, 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 blah. He ain't. But you got the guy that's emotionally connected that'll sit there and listen to what you have to say, and he's too nice. Why am I gonna want to be with him? He's too nice. What is wrong with people? Can I just have what is wrong with people? And it's usually the women that sit around here, be in relationships or don't be in relationships because they're running around, going out, partying, drinking, and being a fool. Torturing themselves, and then want to run around and sit up there and say, there ain't no good men out here. No, you just said you didn't want the good guy. You want the thug, you want the clubby, you want the ghetto dude, you want the this. But when you see a nice, straight-laced, good guy, polo shirt and Dockers type dude, you don't want him. And then you have this other dude that tries to be that guy, which you can read right through them. Oh, I hate that guy. The guy that is actually the polo and the Dockers dude, but he actually tries to put on the persona of the gangster and puts all the tattoos on and does all of this and tries to act like they the one, but they ain't the one, because you can look right through him and say, you are nowhere near gangster. If a shootout came around you, you'd be the first one running to duck. But these men feel like they got to be that because that's what the women want. It's not that. It's the fact that y'all need to sit down and figure out what it is that you want out of a woman, and that woman will come to you, but you got to wait for her. But men don't want to wait. They want to sleep with whatever walks past them that looks good. Most men are looking at the body and not at the brain. They're looking at the body. Can I have a good conversation with you? Alright. But they're not thinking about the fact that I'm going to need to sign my legacy over to somebody, especially if I have a business, if I have achievements, if I have all of this type of stuff. I'm going to have to sign that over to somebody. And there is a viperous woman that is literally sitting there. They want all the money, the cars, and everything attached to them. That's saying, please sign it over to me. And I'm going to slap you upside the head every time I get a chance to, because I think you are weak. Because she that strong, independent woman, and she thinks that those men are what? And she will abuse him the whole time, and these men usually end up dying of an early death. Probably because she a black widow and she killed him. Because she didn't want anything from him but his money. But there is a good woman that's in a bad relationship with a gangster, which she wanted to be in a relationship with, is crying her eyes out right now that wish she was with the Dockers guy in the polo shirt, who is over there crying with the black widow that's planning to kill him. But this was not my spiel, supposed to be. I wanted to say this, that these type of men are leaders, and they like to lead their women. They also know that they are sensitive enough with women, and they listen to their needs. They hear what needs to be said, all of these things, and they are seeking out to have a better woman. They are seeking to be stronger and strong for the woman where the woman is weak. They are seeking to have they have a softness within them, and that it can be actually sexually appealing. They're a complete person. The woman is complete, and they are willing to be complete with this person. They have a feminine side, but they are extremely observed as something wrong with them in society, but they are loving, caring, and they have real emotions. These types of men are the type of women that really have emotions that make most women melt. Let's just be honest. And they are non-manipulative, and they have a good spirit about them. They're opposite of most of the characteristics that women have a tendency to fall for. And but with all of this being said, there is a difference in this in society. What is viewed as what's normal can actually be crazy. It's a quote by Emily Dickinson. I do not remember what it is, but something to look into. But I hope this bless you. Much love, faith, peace, and blessings. I think I'm about to be cut off. So that's all I have to say. Bye-bye.